everyone. This is Brittnee Bond, and welcome back to the podcast. I invite you to take a deep breath with me as we catch up on all of the fun things happening in my world. Okay, so I just have to report that the last play party that I did, the last vanilla play party I did here in Berlin, we had over 70 people, and not just like, oh wow, we had a lot of people, but it was just like the vibration that we unlocked at this play party was, it was next level, you guys. Like, I am so grateful for the beautiful community that has formed here in Berlin around connection, heart open, being vulnerable, being willing to really look at our programming around being our authentic selves, being able to connect with someone else as our authentic selves, and releasing all the things and all the layers and the masks that get in the way of that. And it just like so many people, because it's a sober event, right? The vanilla play parties. And like so many people were saying like, wow, it feels like I'm on MDMA, but we're all sober. And I jokingly call it organic ecstasy. And, you know, for me, like, I built the play parties up on the island where I can announce them a week ahead of time, and they're full with over 70, 80 people every time. And a lot of my friends there on the island were like, why are you leaving? Like, you have it all, you know, you have it all like locked in. And for me, my mission and my goal is to have them around the whole world. So, and it's not just about the play parties. Like, I don't really necessarily think that everyone needs to be going to a play party all the time. I just think that having that as the foundation for helping us to deprogram ourselves and to feel safe to connect in a heart open way with our community is such a beautiful thing. And I want them to be everywhere. You know, I want everyone to be able to have access to this. And so when I came off the island, I was like, I know if you listen to any of my podcasts before about it, I was just so like idealistic and so positive and so just like, I'm following my soul mission. We're doing it. And it was happening here in Berlin. It was working. It's just like, it took a while to build up. I think for me, it's more the energy than it is the amount of people or who comes. It's more like, are we able to co-create this bubble of safety where it feels the most I can describe it, which if you've never experienced it, you might not understand, but it really feels like a new earth vibration. And what I mean by that is all of us are actually super sensitive souls on the inside. We're all vulnerable and we want to feel like it's safe to connect in this vulnerability, in this like, I don't have it all figured out, but I just want to be seen and be myself and have that be enough. And I want to be able to come as I am and like my perfectly imperfect version of myself. And like, will this be a place where I feel like I belong? And that's what we unlocked at the last play party. There's just this feeling where everyone was looking around like, what the heck? Like, this is so beautiful, you know, this vibration of belonging. And I'll be honest, like over the last couple of months, as I have done the play parties, they on the surface have been a success, but like vibrationally, I knew, because I had tapped into it on the island, I knew what we could do together once enough people were able to feel safe to be heart open. And I'm just grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of you who came and co-created this magic. And it motivated me to do one more. So I was actually supposed to be in Portugal this week visiting my best friend, Rosanna. Sorry, Rosanna, that I didn't come. We will get some quality time soon. But I felt such a calling to host one more before I get on a plane on Monday and fly to the States. So everyone's also like, what are you doing in the States? Like, because usually for the last 8 years, or almost 10 years now, wow, time is flying by. Sometimes I forget about COVID times because it's like 2 years where I was just like locked down on the island. Okay, so I'll say 8 years because that's when I was actually traveling. I have been going back and forth between Koh Phangan in Thailand to Europe, and mostly having, at least I would say in the last 4 years, having Berlin as my home base in Europe. And it's been beautiful. And also my soul is really calling for me to go to LA. It's funny that I'm wearing this shirt just randomly this morning. This is like actually just one of my favorite cutoff t-shirts that I wear all the time. But I'm from Northern California. I'm from Sacramento. That's where I grew up. So I actually am from California. I did grow up in California, but I grew up in like the suburbs of, basically it's like 1 hour north of San Francisco. So like a lot of people that live in Sacramento like work in San Francisco. So it's not like it's not like the most exciting place in the world. But it was a nice place to grow up. And I haven't lived in Los Angeles as an adult, but my soul feels so called to go there and share my vibration and share the play parties and like this community. And my vision is to have a base in Los Angeles, Berlin, and Koh Phangan, and just rotate through all of them. So I'm sharing this in the podcast because I'm like literally getting on a plane and I'm going there. First, I'm going to share my vibration at Burning Man. Also putting a shout out, if you know of any camps where I can do the vanilla play parties and you're hooked up and connected at Burning Man, please, please, please connect me, because my vision is to host like not just the play parties, but yes, I want to host the vanilla play parties there, but also just like connection events, like events where people feel, again, the theme is like they feel like they can come as they are and they can belong, you know? They feel like they belong within a community. That is my vision of creating that. Like I see it like on the playa, like 1,000 people, you know, doing like eye gazing together and connecting and like dropping in and like really being heart open. It just makes me so excited. So yeah, the vision is to go to Burning Man first and then share my vibration there and then go to LA and host the play parties there. So if you know of anyone in Los Angeles where I can get into the sex positive scene, the conscious community scene, if you know of any venues, like my dream is actually to live in like an influencer house. I know this sounds so funny. Also, if you know me from the island, you're probably like, what the heck? Where has she become? But I'm like, I'm playing the game of this reality. And that's also something I'm really excited to do. But basically, I would love to live. They have these villas on the beach where everyone's a content creator. Hold on, I need to drink tea. I invite you to take a deep breath. Everyone is content creators, and then they're all living in the house together. And my vision is to live in one of these houses, and then to do the play parties in the house. And I found one. I think the brand, it's like a media brand called Ambitious, and they started taking over villas in Malibu Beach, and I'm just like so excited. So I've been reaching out to them and talking to them, and I'm open to whatever the universe has provided and is aligned for my personal little or big soul mission. But I'm just putting it out to you, to my community, to the universe, that you know, like we're in on this together. Like if you've ever been touched by any of the things that I've shared here, if it's impacted you in a positive way, if you've come to any of my events, if you're in my community on the island in Koh Phangan or here in Berlin, this is a moment where I am reaching out to you and asking you to help me expand this. We do it together. You know, like this is not the Brittnee Bond show, even though my podcast is called Brittnee Bond. It's just because I was tired of renaming things. And I was just like, I'm just going to put my name on there because then I don't have to come up with a whole new brand or name or this or that. But it's really about all of us. And I want to share something right now that's pretty vulnerable. I don't think I've ever shared this in my podcast before, but another reason why this whole journey for me is so important is that in December of last year, I got my villa on the islands, and I was doing the play parties every 2 weeks, and it was like full all the time, and like, you know, I was basically abundant in all of the ways that I had envisioned for myself. So like checked all the boxes, right? And I was the most depressed I had ever been, since maybe around the time when I left my ex-husband when I was in my early 20s. And I was having what is called suicidal ideation, which is the idea that like I personally will never kill myself in this life. I'm too stubborn, and I also know how much of a gift it is and how at every single moment everything can change, and that's just like the fun roller coaster that is our reality, right? But in my nervous system and in my emotional reality, I felt at that time in December last year, so like this is about 7 months ago, I felt really dead. I just felt, and like almost like this cosmic dread. I don't know, like just like this, like, what the fuck, what am I doing, right? I don't want to go into it too much because I have this thing of like having people feel what I feel. So I don't necessarily want you to have to feel that, but I just want you to know that the reason why I'm sharing this is that at that moment, I looked around at my life and I asked myself, what am I missing right now? Because on paper, I thought this was everything I wanted. And why am I not happy? Like, what the fuck is going on? And one of the major things I realized was that I didn't have my soul family around me. Like, I had people that I loved and I was getting closer to, and I'm so grateful that like since then I've like created a really beautiful community of like inner crew on the island, because I have a huge outer community, and like it's hard for me to go outside of my house on the island without bumping into like everyone I know. But I'm talking people who, when I'm around them, they feel like an exhale. It feels like my nervous system can just drop in. And I can take a deep breath and my voice gets softer because I just feel safe to be my real self, my vulnerable self. My inner child can come out to play. I can share all the things that I am scared of that I don't normally share with people. And also we inspire and activate each other to stay on the mission and to be integrated souls in this timeline. So like I can come to the table out of my center knowing that like everyone around me and my soul family will help me come back into my center by just reminding me of who I am and reminding me of my power and reminding me of my mission and reminding me of all the beautiful things that this life has to offer and like all the joy that we can experience, you know? I'm getting emotional just thinking about it because it's so precious to have these people around. And I didn't have this around me in December. I have them in my life, but they weren't on the island. And I was like, okay, so what do I want to shift? And I made a contract with the universe that, and it was also, I felt like I had mission accomplished, like what I needed to on the island. I'd been there for 5 years and I will always have it to come back to. I'm going to go back there this winter, host the play parties, you know, be with my community. But my soul also felt like if you ever have these moments where you feel dead inside, it's usually because you need to expand your life and you need to do something bigger, and your soul is calling for you to expand, and you are not listening to that call in that moment. Usually it's out of fear of what would happen if we go outside our comfort zone. But the thing I'll tell you is it's so much better to feel uncomfortable and on the edge of your comfort zone and be doing something that's expanding you, and the thing that is like your soul is like trying to birth through you, than it is to stay in your comfort zone and to like kind of energetically just be, I don't know, a couch potato or a lump on the log, or, you know, I can put any of these things, but basically you're just, or if we talk in terms that I usually talk with my friends, an NPC, like someone who, like if this is the video game that is our life, someone who is choosing to be a computer generated character. So a non-playing characters, that's what NPC stands for. And it's like when you're playing a video game, it's like all of the characters that the computer creates for you to interact with. And they're not living their main character life, okay? They're supporting other people who are main characters to like aid them on their journey. Every single one of us has the opportunity to be a main character in this timeline, in this video game that is our life. But we need to follow the things that our soul is calling us to do. And you usually can tell what those are. If you're like, Brittnee, what are you talking about? What does that mean? It's usually the thing that you are excited and nervous about at the same time. Something that scares you, but also makes you feel alive. And another thing is, if you're like, okay, but what is that? I don't know how to figure that out for myself. This also is usually, if you look at your biggest trauma in your life, it's usually something there. Because our soul chooses for us to go through hard moments, especially our biggest traumas, because in the video game that is our life, if we can overcome them and we can transmute them into something positive, then this is a beautiful thing that we can share with the world. So for me, if you look at my story, it's like I was kicked out of my religious community. I chose to leave, and also by me choosing to leave, they kicked me out at the same time. Like, I don't know which angle you want to look at it. It's like all the same, but different perspectives. But there was a disconnection from my religious community, which was all of my blood family, all of the people I grew up with, everyone I cared about was just gone. And so for me, having spaces where I feel like I belong and creating safe spaces for other people to feel like they belong, yeah, that is something that is a soul mission for me. And it comes from the fact that I know what it feels like. First off, I know what it feels like to be in a real community, which I think a lot of people have never experienced. Like, I'm talking embedded in a community where, like, if you fall down and you run out of money, people have your back. Or if you want to expand, people have your back. You know, like, they're there for you all the way through. And then to have that taken away. So in order to feel, I felt both of those things very, very strongly, the having and the not having. And so it's almost like I know how to construct it and also protect it at the same time. So that's what I do when I build communities. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at that. Like, I'm also a human. And as I was working through this trauma, I was still building communities over the last 10 years. And there was a lot of them that I fucked up hardcore because I didn't know what I was doing. So I was learning. And also because I hadn't healed all the way. And so this is also the beautiful journey that is your soul journey, is that biggest gift that you have to offer, you can only offer it once you have healed. And I'm not saying, like, none of us is going to be completely healed, but I'm saying healed enough. I mean, also maybe you just don't be a Scorpio, because I'm like double Scorpio. And that means, like, sometimes if I feel triggered or unsafe, I can react in a very dramatic way. And that's also been part of my integration. I believe that a lot of us that are these soul, star seeds, whatever you want to call us, like star seeds, new earth kids, like whatever, we have high intellectual intelligence, so high IQ, and also high emotional intelligence, so high EQ is what they call it. The EQ is the hard part in this life, because it is the biggest way that we can manifest our life. And I'm going to go into that in my next podcast about manifesting, but only once we are fully integrated. So the way that I like to describe it is like your emotional reality, if you have high emotional intelligence and also just a lot of emotions, it's like this dragon. And if you try and suppress the dragon, it's going to come out when it wants to protect you. So when you're scared or you're triggered, or it's going to come out eventually because you're suppressing it so much. And so then it's just going to get angry and resentful, and it's going to find a reason. This is also the shadow side of it. And so I've had times in my life where I have been hurt or triggered, and this dragon, which is my emotional energy, my emotional power, just comes out and it wants to burn everything to the ground around me. So that's when the dragon is like, running the show, when I don't have control over it. But these days I feel like I am riding the dragon of my emotions. So I can feel my emotions while staying in my center. And this is also really interesting, is that when you have high emotional intelligence, it's not about, I don't agree with being full like Buddhist, where you kind of like disassociate from your emotions and you're like becoming like a non-person, like this non-duality thing. I've researched all of this because I was trying to figure out what was the best way for me to handle my emotions. But what I've come to the conclusion is, at least for me, and maybe this might work for you, is that to allow yourself to be fully human and to feel the anger and to feel the pain and whatever, all the emotions that the world says, oh, be careful about feeling those. No, I think it's important to feel them, but also to be still in your center. So you're still the observer. And maybe this is where we can pull a little bit from Buddhism, where you're still understanding that it's all one big cosmic joke and that you're okay. Like you're going to be okay no matter what. And then allow yourself to feel the feelings and then learn the things that you need to learn from feeling the feelings. And then channel that energy into something beautiful and creating something beautiful. So I just went on a really crazy tangent. But anyways, the point of what I was trying to say is like in December, when I was having this very dark night of the soul, is what I'll call it, I made a contract with the universe where I said, I will go off the islands. I will go on my little journey around the world, sharing my light and sharing the play parties and building communities. My contract is that, like my contract with the universe is that I choose to always have my soul family around in person. So people that I feel like I can be myself all the way, and people who can support me when I am having a very hard day, when I'm not in my center, and I need to be reminded of that and how to do that. And just people that light me up just by their pure existence. Do you have people in your life that just make you so happy just because they exist? If you have these people in your life, I highly recommend and invite you and encourage you to message them today and tell them how much they mean to you and how much you love them, because it's so beautiful to have these people in our lives. And I just wonder how much of us are actually sharing how much these people mean to us, because that's also what keeps lighting them up. So I got back from Egypt last week, and you know what I found really interesting about coming back from Egypt was like, I'm a sensitive soul, right? So like coming to Berlin for me it's like I can handle Berlin, but before Egypt, it felt like after a while, the vibration of Berlin was like hard for me to handle. Like it was like, it's a little bit too rough here around the edges. There's always like random middle-aged men screaming in the park because they have mental illness. I'm not laughing at them. I'm laughing just because I'm like, it's just the craziness of Berlin, it's just kind of like, and you just kind of get used to it, but your nervous system doesn't get used to it. And I remember thinking like the last week before I went to Egypt, like, wow, I'm over it here. Like, I kept thinking, I want to go back to the island. I almost rerouted my ticket to go fly from Egypt to Thailand. Very few people know this, because I knew that if I told my crew of friends on the island, they would all freak out and be like, oh my God, come. But I was like trying really hard to understand like what was the best for me, because we all have different parts of us that need to be honored. And there was a part of my inner child that just like really wanted to go home and see Afro and my dog and like see my friends and be at the waterfall and just be places where things are calm for my nervous system. And then I went to Egypt and I recognized something this is a really funny thing to share. Okay, so I talk a lot about parts work. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. So parts work is like, it's internal family system. So it's like IFS. And this is basically the idea about like that we all have different personalities inside of us. And usually it's like when you're 7 years old and some trauma happened to you, and then like a part of you like couldn't, one of my soul family, Vivi, is calling. A part of you like couldn't handle the situation. It was too overwhelming. And so it split off. And so this is what the idea of IFS is that like there's many different parts of us inside and they have different needs. And there's usually for any given, but the goal is with IFS therapy, with internal family systems or parts work, people call it by different names, but it's all the same. The goal is to be able to acknowledge all of these different parts inside of you and to honor them and get their needs met, because they all deserve to be honored, and also to bring them home to your psyche in a conscious way. So the goal is to be fully integrated with all of your parts. Like, oh, yep, I know this part of myself. Okay. Because what happens is if you don't acknowledge it and you don't bring it home to your psyche in a conscious way, it's still going to get its needs met. And it's usually going to be what we call a shadow side. So it's going to be like coming up in a way that is maybe not honoring you and not in a way you actually like, you know? And this is, I'll give you a classic example. It's like people who are like, I'm fine. And then they have one drink of alcohol and then like a whole different personality comes out. And it's because they've suppressed these different versions of themselves. And you can say this about any psychedelics, also smoking weed, whatever. It's just these like chemicals that we put in our bodies. Usually it's almost like a lot of times are a permission slip for these other personalities inside of us to come out. And I'm not talking like full bipolar where you're like a completely different person. I'm just saying that like, I mean, for some people maybe, but like, I'm just saying that like for most of us, it's not as extreme as that. It's just more like, you know, you have a desire inside of you, this one part of you that really wants to come out and be seen. So I'm saying all of that because when I was in Egypt, I recognized that I have what I call my Mafia part coming out. And basically, there is a very big part of me that I suppress, and I'm not suppressing anymore, so I'm going to talk about it. But the version of me that you usually see online or in person is like kind of the angel, like the Aquarius rising, angelic version of Brittnee. And she's like, loves community, always wants to create like beautiful things in the world, just wants us all to come together and be heart open. And like, that is, I would say, like one of my main operating personalities. So that's pretty much what you will encounter with me about 90% of the time. Like, that is me. I also have this big part of me that I will call my Mafia part, which is, I would say it's like kind of the dragon in me that just wants to fuck things up, and, you know, the shadow side of me that hasn't really allowed itself to come out. And this part, like, loves chaos and loves drama and is attracted to these kind of situations. And I think that's also why when I come to Berlin at first, I really love Berlin. Like, I just love the chaos and, like, you know, you go out in the street and like anyone can be anything in Berlin. And also I would say it's the same on Copenhagen, but more in the feminine way, like energy. Like in Copenhagen, like you can wear whatever you want. No one can say anything. And, you know, like we're mostly naked all the time at the beach or the waterfall. And it's kind of this like, fuck you to like mainstream programming of what a woman should be. And here in Berlin, it's like that, but more in the masculine sense of like, it's more, a little bit more aggressive, but it's kind of this energy of like, you can wear whatever you want. No one can say anything. And they're very into, you know, being in your full power and your full expression. Egypt is like that to a million X. So like, and also in another weird way has like so much religious programming on top of it, from the Muslim religion. So it's just very interesting for my psyche because I felt this like part of me that just wanted to like, embrace the drama and the chaos. This part was really getting the most out of the situation because there was so much drama and so much chaos, like, externally, I would say that I encountered in Egypt. So the whole time I'm kind of like riding the wave of it, like my friend going in the hospital, people trying to scam us, like people getting hit by a car, like right in front of us when we're eating lunch, you know, like just so, and so many other things. But I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But then there was this part of me, this Mafia part, that was also like, I know how to handle this. Like I can work this. I can stick up for myself. And it's like, in a way, it's helped me to really honor this part and bring it out. And I'm sharing this with you because I think there's probably a lot of us who, I mean, I'll speak even just like to like the German culture here in Germany, like I was talking to some of my friends when I got back from Egypt about this, and we were all joking about my Mafia parts because they definitely recognize this in me. Here in Germany, it's like there's a lot of people that have this inside of them, but it's like so suppressed because of the war here that it's like almost like you're not allowed to get angry here, like from a cultural standpoint, because like, and what I'm intuiting is that it's like if you get angry, it's kind of like, oh no, but you know, as a culture, as a society, when we got angry in the past, like Hitler, we elected Hitler, and like, you know, the Holocaust happened, so like let's not do that. But then what happens is it gets so suppressed that like you'll be going down the street and then someone will cut someone off, and then someone just unleashes on them, like to the point where you're like, what the fuck? Because it's like, it's in there and it hasn't been fully integrated. It hasn't been shared in a way that's like calm and able to come out in a healthy way. And so it just comes out like anytime anyone, usually what I see is like a lot of road rage in the street. But it also can just be like random stuff. And I just find this to be interesting to like look at within our psyches, is like these parts of ourselves that kind of want to create chaos and like the drama, because then we can unleash these like what we have deemed like darker or shadow parts. Whereas like if we can just talk about it and integrate them in a conscious way, they don't need to come out. We don't need to attract in external drama. And that's what I realized when I got back from Egypt. I was like, whoa, I know that I create my reality, and like I just chose a really dramatic one when we went to Egypt. And also coming back here to Berlin, it made me feel like, wow, Berlin is not that dramatic. It's actually pretty chill and quiet. That's one thing I am so grateful for being out of Egypt, is that Egypt is so loud. It's like India, but with like more aggression. Because I feel like in India, when I was there, it's like, yeah, people are loud, but they kind of have this like head nod where it's like they understand from their, you know, their religion and their culture that it's like, it's all a joke, you know, it's like whatever. But in Egypt, it's like that aggression. And yeah, they will still like laugh about it at the end, but sometimes not. A lot of times not. Like I remember when we were the last night before before we were flying out, we had returned our rental car, so we were in a taxi, and there was a taxi driver, and then my friend Jimmy was up in the front seat because I had gone on a shopping spree and bought like a new suitcase and like a bunch of stuff, and so it was like all in the back seat with me. And I had my window rolled down, and like there's kind of a joke in Egypt, like all the taxi drivers, like all the windows, everything is broken, like the things to roll down the window, and like, yeah, anyways, a lot of things are broken. And so the reason I'm saying that is because I couldn't roll my window back up. And suddenly we're driving on like the main street in Hurghada, and like there is a fight with, I'm not joking, about like 50 or 60 Egyptian men. They're fist fighting in the street. Like, and we just are driving straight into it. I don't know why the taxi driver just drove into it, but suddenly they're fighting right in front of us. I can't roll up my window. The taxi driver is not listening to me because I'm like, can you roll up my window? And he's just like, I know, in the chaos trying to deal with it. And then suddenly a guy like takes another guy and slams him into the front of our car, the hood of our car. And then someone else takes like a walking stick that one of the guys had and starts hitting him in the head with it. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like and it's like 2 a.m. in the morning, you know, on like a Tuesday night. Like it's not even like, I'm like, what is going? And then suddenly the cops came, and then everyone runs, and then I'm just like, what just happened? Da, da, da. And my friend Jimmy's like, it's okay, you're with me. Like, why are you upset? Like, you know, I'll always protect you. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, I don't want to be in this reality where this is a normal thing, and like that I should just be like okay with it. So yeah, I looked at a lot of this. Why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing this story because when I got back from Egypt, a lot of my soul family came to visit me, and they stayed with me last week. And it was so beautiful to go from that vibration in Egypt of just pure chaos and like no one really understanding me when I was like, this is not normal, or like, why should we do it like this? And me also realizing I attracted that in, and that I don't necessarily want to allow that part to be creating my trips anymore, this mafia part that likes the drama. And then to come back and to be able to breathe out with my soul family and like have people be on the same vibration, and we can talk about new earth stuff and all the things that we're building, and like bicycle around Berlin and just like smile at everyone and just be in this bubble of like really high vibration together. And when the play party happened last Saturday, I was like so happy because I just felt so supported. I had 2 of my guy friends come and stay with me from outside Berlin. And they were like, what do you need, Brittnee? And we went grocery shopping. They carried everything. They carried all supplies for the play party. And I just felt like a queen. I was just like, I'm here with my beautiful like men around me who love me and support me. And they're just like, how can we support you even more? Like, we love you. We want this to keep going. And that just made me, like, when I think back on this contract I made with the universe, and I was like, mission accomplished, you know, like I had this moment where I was making tea in the kitchen for them, and I just started crying because I was like so happy that my soul family is around me and that we're doing it together. Like this moment of like, we're all in on this together. Everyone's coming to support me. And not just me, but like the mission, like, you know, like they believe in what I'm building and the community that I'm creating, and they're actively co-creating it with me. And that was amazing. And then like, so we had the play party, and then they both left. And then I got really sick. Wow. Right after the play party. I think it was just all of the adrenaline from Egypt, and then hosting friends, and then hosting the play party. And my body was like, we need to turn off. Because there's this other major part of me that is just very tired from like all of the things that I have created in this life and all the things I've also experienced in this life. And this part just wants to like sleep for an entire week. And I had like a fever of like 39 degrees, and I was really sick. And so I was asking myself, like, do I want to stay in Berlin this week? And my friend Robin invited me to come stay with him in Hamburg, and I've stayed with him before there, and it's just like really beautiful house. He has a sauna he built in his living room. Like, what? And it's just calm there. So I said, okay, yeah, I want to come. And I told him, I'm like, I'm super sick. And he's like, it's okay, I got the same thing, because he was one of the people who came and stayed with me the week before. And he's like, just come, I'll take care of you. And so I went up there, and I was still really sick on the train. And he picked me up and like just like totally took care of me for the last like 5 days, and like cooked for me. And I ended up I just love it when I'm in a space where I want to bake, when my body really wants to like bake and like be homey and like cook things and stuff. That's when I know that I'm feeling good, and I'm like feeling nourished. And that's how I felt at Robin's house. I was like, oh, I want to cook things, I want to bake things. So we were like co-creating and like making a really homey, cozy environment, and that was so good for my healing. I just remember like laying on the couch and reading, and like falling asleep, and then reading again, waking up and like reading. And to me that's like and then it was raining some of it, and just like having the window open and like listening to the rain fall on the trees, and like reading, and Robin would bring me a cup of tea, and like us just like doing our own thing in a shared space. It's one of my favorite things, is to hanging out with my soul family, and we're just like both vibing and doing whatever we want, but we're just sharing the energy together. So for me, I'm sharing that with you because I think a lot of times people see me on social media or on my podcast, and they're like, wow, she's doing the most, you know, like I have people message me like, how do you have so much energy? And I feel like I have a lot of energy for like a normal person. But what does that even mean? But I am so passionate about what I'm doing. And I think that when you do what you love, like the energy comes through your body. Like your body is just a vessel for this high vibration to come through. And so I have so much energy for what I'm doing in the world, because I feel like this is my soul mission. It's helping people. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And at the same time, it's so important to rest. It's so important to allow yourself those days to just integrate. And And I found that when I have a container, like when I make, because I live a lifestyle where I don't need to get up and go to a 9 to 5 job. So if I wanted to, I could just like sit and watch Netflix for a month or two. So I'm not going to do that because there's different parts of me that want different things. There's the part that wants to go and like accomplish everything in the world. And then there's the other part that wants to rest and like sleep for months and months. So what I ended up doing this last week was I kind of made a deal with myself. Like when I'm at Robin's house, I'm just going to allow myself to rest as much as I want. Like I brought my podcast equipment. I didn't end up making a podcast. I had all of these grand plans to go to the gym and all this stuff, but I didn't do any of those things. And the last day that I was there, which was yesterday morning, I woke up at like 8:30 and I went with Robin to the gym. I went and on my way back to Berlin yesterday, I like answered all of your messages. Like I had so many messages, like hundreds of messages that I hadn't looked at yet. And I had just like put it on pause because I just needed that time to retreat and to recharge. And I'm so grateful I gave myself that because coming back here, I have so much energy. I'm in Berlin. I'm so excited about the play party this Saturday. I have a photo shoot coming up this week. We're going to wear my cute wigs that I got and just so many more projects happening and just also like getting vibrationally, emotionally, physically ready to go to the States on Monday. It's like, wow, it's less than a week away now. And also I want to go to the gym a lot this week. So now I'm back in the like, productivity mode. But at the same time, I'm really aware of how important it is to rest. Like last night, I'm staying at my friend Torga's house right now. And like last night he was like, I'm so tired. Let's go to bed early tonight. And so we went to bed at 9:30 and woke up at 8:30 and did breath work and like drank tea and like, talked about our dreams and like everything. And so we slept for 11 hours. And I woke up this morning and I just felt so happy to be alive. I was like, yes, I'm doing the best. Like, this is great. I'm so grateful just to exist and look at these trees. These trees are so beautiful. And like, oh, Torga, I love you as my friend and my soul family. And like, I'm so grateful I'm going to Burning Man. And like, I get to share my vibration with the world. Like, wow, so cool. And I think it's so important to like remember the things that help us to feel that way. And for me, a lot of it is going to the gym, breath work, journaling, being in nature, like being around like where I'm living right now is right next to Boxy Park in Berlin. And it's so there's just like nature, just trees, nature. And that makes me so happy. And being nestled in my soul family. Like this week, I could have gotten my own place. And I contemplated that because I do have a lot of times where I just need my own energy to recharge. But I was thinking like my last week in Berlin, I want to hang out with my soul family. And so many of my friends are like, come stay, come stay. So I'm like allowing myself to be hosted and to be nourished in this beautiful energy of connection and people loving you. Like, do you allow the love in? That's something I want to ask you. Like, I'm sure there are people in your life that love you so, so much. And I'm wondering, do you let the love in? Do you let them love you? Do you allow yourself to receive from them? And just appreciate it. And then also give it back, like, and then tell them how much you love them and show up for them. Like, do you allow this like beautiful circuit of love to be flowing between you and the people that you care about? A lot of us don't because it's too vulnerable. Or they feel like it's too vulnerable. I'm saying that because in the past I've also felt that. But now I'm in this full experiment of allowing the magic to happen that is this beautiful life that we have. And just to keep remembering that we are the main characters of our life. And to always ask ourselves, what is the most joyful thing I could do right now? If you have all of these decisions to make and the things that you need to do, but what is the thing that is the most magical thing that you could do right now? Or if you have to do something that's mundane and boring, in what way can you do this where it feels magical, where it feels joyful? Because I really believe that every single thing that we do in our life, we can do it in a way that is joyful and magical and that brings us more energy. just by shifting our vibration and by shifting our perspective of our life. And I hope that this podcast is also helping you shift your vibration and your perspective to a higher one where you're like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can accomplish that. I can believe in the magic and believe in the synchronicity and follow the breadcrumbs that your soul is giving you along the way, because our soul is really laid out such a beautiful life for us. And all we have to do is step out of the fear and step into the love and step into the vibration of like, I can do it. I am capable of accomplishing everything that I desire. And also, I deserve to receive and to be loved just for being myself. You know, one of my soul family, Marco, who came to visit me last week, you know, the first thing he said to me, he said, Brittnee, I love you. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, do you want to know why I love you? And I was like, yeah, of course. And he's like, I love you just for purely being yourself. You don't have to do anything else. You are perfect just the way you are. And I just like, I was like, oh, I almost started crying. I'm like, Marco, thank you. And then throughout the week, he'd be like, Brittnee, I love you just for being yourself. And that constant reminder is what we all need, is like people who just love us purely for existing, just purely because we are being our beautiful, purely, I keep saying purely, our beautiful, imperfect and perfect version of ourselves, the one that is always growing and expanding and welcoming more love through us. So I will leave you with that, and I hope that you have a beautiful day.